welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over some basic tips on how to take care of your hair. These are some great tips to consider if you're wanting to color your hair or just looking to get your hair a little bit healthier and a little bit fuller. If you feel like your hair isn't growing or it's a bit damaged, then let's get into it. So brushing your hair, I always recommend my clients to use a wet brush. A wet brush just has bristles that bend like this and it's pretty flexible. This is so when it goes over a tangle, it lightly goes over it and instead of ripping out your tangle. When brushing your hair with a wet brush, I always recommend starting from the bottom and work your way to the top. If you start from the top, you'll just create more tangles as you work your way to the bottom. Another pro tip, if your hair is super fine, I recommend maybe letting your hair dry a little bit. This is because when the hair is wet and it's really fine, the hairs tend to stick together, making it feel like it's a lot more tangled than it actually is. So if you have finer hair and you feel like it's really hard for you to brush out your hair, just let your hair air dry. You can blow dry it a little bit and then brush out your hair and you'll feel like your hair isn't as tangled as it actually is. It's really important to make sure to brush your hair morning and night every day. This is because when you sleep, you're probably sleeping all crazy, no one sleeps still. So I would brush out those tangles before you start your day and before you also wash your hair. So it's really important before you hop in the shower and you're about to wash your hair, brush out those tangles so it's easy to shampoo and conditioner it and brush afterwards. Another pro tip is when you have tangles around the hairline, I would be super gentle with those hairs. The hairline tends to be a little bit more fragile than the rest of your head, so those tend to break a little bit more easy. So it's important to brush your hair more frequently because if you wait too long, sometimes those tangles can get into bigger tangles and then maybe even turn into dreadlocks. And at that point, when you're brushing out those big tangles, that's when you cause a lot of breakage and then you'll feel like you have a lot of split ends, and then at that point you might feel like your hair is really thin or it's not growing when actually it's just your hair is just more damaged. When you're washing your hair while you're in the shower and you have the conditioner in your hair and you have lots of tangles, it's really great to detangle it with your fingers while the conditioner is there and it has enough slip before you wash out your conditioner. So using good shampoo and conditioner is super crucial to keeping your hair healthy. I always tell my clients to look for something that is sulfate free. You might be wondering what's the difference between a salon professional shampoo and a drugstore shampoo, and there's two major differences. First is pricing. Yes, a drugstore shampoo is going to be a lot cheaper than a salon shampoo, but the ingredients and the amount of high-grade ingredients is what really makes the difference. So drugstore shampoo may have similar ingredients to a higher grade shampoo, but it's more watered down and oftentimes are filled with wax fillers. So sometimes these will leave a wax coating on your hair, making it harder for your hair to be colored next time. And over time, sometimes you can feel it. It may feel like your hair is getting soft, but in reality, it's just leaving that wax coating and conditioning it kind of like from the outside, rather than a higher grade salon professional shampoo would hydrate from within. So another thing is drugstore shampoo sometimes can also strip out more natural oils than a salon shampoo. So you'll feel like you'll need to wash your hair more often and use more than a shampoo that is used in a salon. You won't have to use as much as a salon grade shampoo compared to a drugstore shampoo that has all of these extra ingredients with the higher grade ingredients watered down. It's also super important to wash your hair with cooler water because cooler water will seal the cuticle and make your hair more shiny. If you use any hot water on your hair, it will open up the cuticle, and if you have color in your hair, it will push out that color and make it fade a little bit faster. Just with hot tools, if you use a hot iron tool on your hair that's already pre-colored, it will make the color fade a little bit more because that heat is opening up the cuticle and pushing out that color. If you have color treated hair, to get these good shampoos, because if you color your hair and you use cheap drugstore shampoo, it will wash out your color a lot faster, and all that money that you've spent on your hair just kind of fades a lot quicker and you feel like you've wasted a lot more money. So sometimes I'll recommend my clients to use purple shampoo. My favorite purple shampoo is Paul Bride's Barcelona shampoo. I really like this one because it's pretty pigmented and not as drying as a lot of other purple shampoos on the market, and it smells really, really great. So this is Paul Bride's Barcelona shampoo. This is a thicker shampoo, so I would definitely recommend wetting your hair first and then lathering it in your hands before applying it to your hair, and then letting it sit for a few minutes. For my clients who are more gray, you could leave it in a little bit longer, but if you're wanting to stay a nice brighter blonde, I would just leave it in maybe for a minute or two, or if your hair tones quite quickly, you can dilute it with normal shampoo. So I will say I'm not an expert with dandruff shampoo, but I do have a few clients who struggle with dandruff. From their experience, I could say that dandruff shampoo is not a one size fits all. You kind of have to find what works for your scalp. And dandruff shampoo, although you may need it, if you have colored hair, it will strip the color a little bit, and may dry out the hair depending on the brand. So I would highly recommend using a hair mask and only use it as needed, but you still can use it if you struggle with dandruff. So this may be a super basic tip, but the way to shampoo your hair is shampoo is meant for your roots. It's not meant for your ends because you're just oily and mostly dirty at the root, and whatever's left over will lather on your ends and cleanse it that way. So when you shampoo, just shampoo your roots instead of getting your ends and shampooing your ends, because that will make your hair super tangled and like almost impossible to brush out. But with conditioner, it's the complete opposite. Conditioner is mostly for your mids and ends. So I would get conditioner and apply it to your mids and ends, and whatever's left over on your hands, you can run through your roots a little bit and then leave it on for a few minutes. Clients always ask me, how often should I be washing my hair? And I always say, you should probably wash your hair maybe once or twice a week, and in between washes, use dry shampoo. The way that I like to use dry shampoo is spraying it in your roots all over and sectioning it out like this. And just spraying, and then once you've covered most of your roots on the top where it's oily, just shake it in. And that will make your hair feel cleaner. But the trick with dry shampoo is to spray it in your hair before it gets too oily. So when you feel just like a little bit of oil, I like to spray it in, because if you spray it in too late, you're gonna be fighting too much oil and then putting in too much dry shampoo, and then your hair is gonna feel really gross with all that product. So I always spray it in when you feel like your hair is just a little bit oily, and then sometimes by then your ends will feel a little bit dry, and that's okay, that's completely normal. So I would just get like a hair serum or oil and just run it through your ends, and then your hair will feel good as new. To me, the most important thing to keeping your hair super healthy is keeping it moisturized. Because if your hair gets dry over time, it's more prone to tangles, and then that gets prone to more breakage. So I like to put leave-in conditioner and a hair serum after I shower each time I wash my hair. So my favorite leave-in conditioner, my go-to, is the Living Proof Restore leave-in conditioner, and then I like to cocktail it with the Verbs Ghost Oil. And I'll probably do about a half a pump of each in my hand, and I will just lather it on my mids and ends, and this is directly right out of the shower before I even brush it, before I blow dry. The Living Proof's leave-in conditioner is very hydrating, but it doesn't have a heat protectant, so that's why I like to use the Verbs Ghost Oil, because this works as a great heat protectant for blow drying or hot styling. So when using this product, I only like to put it in when the hair is wet, because it is more of a cream-based product. It doesn't really work well in the hair if your hair is already dry, but this oil here you can definitely use when your hair is wet and dry. I like to use this when I'm on my day 2 or 3 of dry shampoo and my ends feel a little bit dry and need some extra moisture. It's also great to use to put in your hair if you feel like your hair is super tangled and you need some slip before you brush it out. It's always good to use less heat as possible on your hair, but if you do, I would recommend using a heat protectant like this one. And when you use hot tools, I would also recommend try using the lowest setting that you can to achieve your desired look, and try to blow dry less and air dry more. Another great product to use is It's a 10. This is more lightweight compared to the cocktail that I spoke of before, because the other one, my hair tends to get really dry, so I need that extra moisture. But if your hair is pretty healthy and doesn't get too dry, and you don't want something that will weigh your hair down too much with too much moisture, I would highly recommend using the It's a 10 leave-in. So treatments are really important for your hair to keep that moisture in. I always recommend my clients to do a hair mask every other week. These are personally my favorite. This is the Santa Barbara mask from Pulp Riot, and then the Soul Food from Amika. Masks are great because they're super hydrating, and you could leave, it's more of a treatment you just leave in for a few minutes when you're in the shower or out of the shower. They just give that extra oomph that your conditioner doesn't. Another treatment that I recommend my clients to use is Olaplex number 3. I'll only recommend this to my clients if they feel like they need some sort of rebonding treatment, if their hair doesn't feel super healthy. And this one I would recommend using in your hair maybe about once a week. It's also super important to trim your hair every 3 or 4 months to let it grow and stay healthy. Some people think cutting your hair might not help it grow, but in reality it actually does. I like to surface cut my clients' hair, and what that means is I like to bend the hair and get all those split ends that are all over, because if you're just cutting the ends of the hair, you're not really getting all the damage that's up here. So I like to really go in detail and surface cut my clients' hair, and over time you will see a huge difference and your hair will grow. A lot of times clients will come in and they have damaged hair, or they have pieces that are broken right at the crown area. Sometimes I'll ask them if they tie their hair a lot, and oftentimes they will, and they'll be using those black rubber bands that are just those generic hair ties. But I always tell them that that could be the reason why their hair could be ripping out, because those rubber bands can get knotted with your hair if you tie it too tight. So I always recommend my clients to use hair scrunchies like these that have a little bit more cushion around the rubber band so that it doesn't get so tangled and tight around your hair. So this will prevent any more damage. If you have finer hair like me, it's super important for you to use hair ties that are a little bit softer like the scrunchies and not those rubber bands, because those will definitely rip out your hair. Also, if you have really long hair and you sleep super crazy, I recommend sleeping with a braid or maybe in a low pony with a scrunchie, because your hair will get super tangled, and in the morning brushing out those tangles can cause breakage. So it's really important to buy your products from trusted retailers. This is because buying products online or from stores that have them at discounted prices, you never know where they're coming from, whether they're real or fake, or if they're expired. So it's great to buy products. I tell my clients to either go to Ulta or Sephora, or you can even get it at your salon. This way you can ensure that these products are real and up to date and not expired. So you really are getting what you paid for. So I hope you guys learned something new and found something helpful in this video. If you're already a client of mine, these are some tips that I highly recommend that you follow. But if you're a new client or you've never colored your hair, these are just some helpful tips to consider even before coloring your hair, because when you color your hair, there is maintenance, and it's really important to maintain your hair at home with good products. Because if you buy and spend money on your hair to get it colored, and then you buy cheap products to use at home, all of the money that you spent getting your hair colored initially kind of goes to waste if you use cheap products, because it'll just wash out in like a week. These are tips that even if you're not looking to color your hair and you're just looking to get your hair a little bit more healthy, it's important to follow these tips and definitely trim your hair. If you feel like your hair isn't really growing, don't worry, it totally is. It's just the ends of your hair may have a lot of damage, and those split ends, if you don't cut them right away, they just keep splitting up the hair shaft and breaking from the bottom, even though your hair is still growing from the top. So yeah, if there's any tips that I missed, leave me a comment down below. I hope you guys learned something new. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and catch me next week for my next video. Bye!